everybody. Welcome back to the Writer's Hive, where we meet bi-weekly to demystify the writing and publishing process. I am joined by Amber and Caitlin. Everybody's links are down below if you would like to follow them on any social media platforms. Today, we are going to be discussing short fiction and how you can use it to improve your craft and also maybe for marketability. Amber, would you like to start us off?
I feel like I don't write a lot of short fiction anymore. When I first started writing as a teenager, and even after I was an adult and I decided I wanted to give writing a shot, I did start with short fiction and poetry because I wanted to be able to see if I could come up with an entire story, like a beginning, a middle, and an end. And the best way to do that is to make it short so that you don't have to worry about if you're getting all the details in and all the world building. And then eventually, confidence in myself, I started writing longer and longer fiction. I do feel like the only time recently that I wrote short fiction, which was helpful, was when I was working on a vampire novel and I had a side character that had been with the main character for a very long time. And I didn't really know his story, so I decided to just like let him speak and I wrote kind of his origin story as a short story just so that I knew more about him. And I feel like as a discovery writer, that's the best way to learn about some of your characters because you're not going to be plotting out and doing all these character sheets, getting in their head and saying, like, give me a time in your childhood that meant a lot and let's start writing and just kind of see what comes out. And that way you can understand that character a little bit more within the story, whether that's at the beginning before you write or after you write your full story and you just want to strengthen the book while you're editing. Any of that I think would be really helpful for someone, but especially when you're first starting to write, to build your confidence and being able to build characters and worlds and stories.
I love that. My first experience with writing short fiction was sort of like shorter fiction. I wrote a series of novellas. It's the Sister Secret series, and it's about a small town and mermaids and all that fun stuff. And I really enjoyed it as comparison to like writing a novel. I was able to really just hone in on like the main characters' issues. They were romance, so it was like the two main leads. And I found it much more freeing to sort of have like a shorter word count. After that, I have been using short fiction to do a few things. If you know at all about newsletters and reader magnets or lead magnets, it's usually something you give to someone for in exchange for their email address to put them on your newsletter. There's a wonderful book called Newsletter Ninja, in case you haven't heard of it, by Tammy Labrecque. I highly recommend it. You can use a short story in the worlds of your books, whether you're writing a series or not, and you can introduce your characters and sort of rope a reader into wanting to read more of the series. Conversely, you can also use it as after someone has read your book as sort of an epilogue or an extended scene at the end, or from a different character's point of view. First, for me, I used it in Soul Taken. This was like my first like sort of published short story that I gave to my newsletter subscribers, and a little bit of an epilogue. I have like a 2-month gap between Soul Taken and Soul Possessed, and I never really explored that, like what happened. Like I knew when writing book 2 what happened, what conspired a little bit to get the character to that point. But I found it so fun to like actually put down in concrete what happened, what was happening with these characters. I had like a little mini arc in there just to make, it interesting and not, just a boring like laundry list of what they did. And I really think that it has helped me improve that series a little bit. And it's also sort of inspired me to take little tangents and like explore different characters in the series to really make the characters richer. Also too, with my adult thriller that I'm publishing, I wrote a short story, sort of like a prequel from like a different character's point of view, exploring something that one of my central characters in that book, an experience with that character, and sort of exploring that past was really fun. And I think I understand that character more. So for me, I find that with my short fiction, I'm able to definitely explore and make my my worlds a bit richer in my mind specifically, and while also in terms of marketability, bringing readers into that world as well, into my thought process and my imagination when it comes to my books. So I think they can definitely help. I wish I could discovery write. I actually plotted out my short stories because I can't not do that. But I think definitely too, if you are sort of figuring out where you are in terms of discovery writer or plotter, like it's definitely a great exercise to just free write. Benefits in the fact that it's not really like, it's not long. It's not going to take too much of your time. And it also gets you to completion of a project, whether it's, a short story or flash fiction. Like, you completed something creative, and that's definitely something to celebrate, especially when you're sort of looking at a momentous novel you want to write and can't sort of figure your way through it. If you can write a short story or anything like that, it's definitely progress forward.
Absolutely. I love short fiction. I love specifically flash fiction. I've always used it as a way to, one, avoid writer's block. If I was writing something that was larger, or the scope of something was starting to become daunting, then I could take it back down to a micro level and I could write, some kind of flash fiction or short fiction. Flash fiction as a practice for me, especially with my aphantasia, because I can take a physical photo, which is what I usually do for my flash fiction, is I'll take a photograph that moves me and I will write, up to 5,000 words, but all I'm doing is describing that snapshot, that photo. All I have to worry about is that moment, what directly led to that moment and what is happening in that moment. I don't have to worry about, a week from then. I don't have to worry about what happens after that photo, or, whatever I'm using for inspiration. And it really, really helped me as well with trying to avoid white room syndrome. I used it as a practice a lot for working on really quick character work, how to get somebody to care about a character in a very few amount of words, how to describe a setting and set a scene and a tone and a mood in a very short amount of words. It is an art form, and it didn't have to be perfect, but I wanted to use it as a way to try to build the different areas of my writing and not have to worry about doing it on such a large scale as a novel. And I do think that it helped me a lot. And I think that I got a lot of that skill from doing flash fiction and having that like immediate drop into somebody's life. And then you kind of just get that really short story, that one moment. Like Caitlin said, it doesn't have to take a ton of your time. It's not a huge offshoot from your larger projects, but it can be a really great way to grow your writing. I think it's a great way to kind of get out of your own head. And I think that can be really freeing. So I definitely think that there are benefits to using short fiction and flash fiction as a way to improve your craft. And like Caitlin, I'm also using it for different magnets, different, freebies for my readers. There's a free chapter from a different POV at the end of A Curse and Ash. You can scan the QR code and go to, a bonus chapter, which I loved doing. I loved writing it, and I loved having that as something that I could offer for my readers, that they can go and, and read and experience. Reader service. You're able to provide for them things that you might not have been able to fit into the larger book. Some scenes get cut, some characters get cut, but you can offer those things to your readers as short fiction, which I think is something that really benefits you as an author from a marketing standpoint as well. That is how the three of us utilize our short fiction writing. I would love to know in a comment down below if you utilize short fiction to improve your craft or for marketing. If so, how? We would love to know in a comment. And if you happen to post it, if you have a website where you post your short fiction, or there's somewhere where we can go to, purchase your short fiction or take a look at it, definitely leave that in a link down below too, because we would definitely be interested in continuing to support you and encourage you. So let us know in a comment down below. Continue this discussion over on our Discord server, the Writers Hive Discord server as well, where you can connect with everybody and discuss these topics outside of just these videos. So be sure to visit us over there, as well as the girls' links all down below. That's going to be it for this episode. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm like, if we get locked in this room, what happens?
I can't do that.
Do what?
The on lippy thing.
What thing?
You did that. I can't do that.
Nice.
I can't.
My brother can't snap.
Listen, that's one thing that we worked with him for a little bit on the snapping.
Trying to help him learn how to snap.
We tried to help him learn how to snap. I don't understand how it was that difficult. And then whistling, he's like, wait, you blow out? We're like, how were you doing it?
That was the saddest sound.
I can't whistle. I can't.
You can't whistle?
No, I can't whistle.
Out of the group.
I could do this.
I can't. How do you do that?
It's like a train.